How many of you have been to the biggest of hotels in India? Radisson, Marriott, Taj, Oberoi, everybody. Expected. Okay. How many of you have interacted with the housekeeping staffs there? Everybody. Expected. Why? What do? They clean your toilets, they bring food to your room, they do the laundry, and you have interacted with them. Now imagine somebody of that, somebody of that stature thinking that enough is enough. I want to dream big now, probably bigger than this. But he's 30, he's married, he's bound by the responsibilities. But he finds support, and one day he decides to give the biggest exam of this country, that's UPSC Civil Services, that has a success ratio of 0.08%. Imagine the willpower he must be having at 30 with a family. He became an IRS officer, which is the big force, Indian Revenue Services, Indian Administrative Services, Police Services, Foreign Services. The fourth one is your Revenue Services. So he could become the IRS officer, and he is Molaitsen Kanchanova. He comes from Manipur, and he's second officer from his own tribe, that is Maring tribe. Only the second one from his tribe. Imagine the hope people of his tribe, and imagine the happiness the people of his village feel for him. Civil services is truly one of India's platform where people from the lowest denominator can rise to a stature and call themselves arrived. With Molaitsen, it's just not his tribe, but his entire village feels that we have arrived. You know why? Because in that village, they're still struggling to get access to fresh water. And they now know that they have a powerful government officer who would ensure probably water for them. Right? Imagine the empathy and hope he would bring in to the services. But there's a lot of fad I see these days. There are a lot of criticisms about civil services I see these days, that it is the great Indian middle class dream, privatize it, they're not efficient, it is the greatest burden on this democracy. And I feel, and I see when I realize people like Molaitsen, when they reach the services, what kind of hope and what kind of empathy do they bring in? While talking about the empathy, I also want to highlight another case, Manu Garg. Imagine you're 100% blind, and you are told that your mother is your only hand. You will have to do everything through your mother. And even the mother is a single, she's raising him as a single child. Imagine the hardship that mother might have faced. Mother raising Manu talking to his mother on a daily basis. Nobody else is their support system. And they are not financially what most of you are, coming from a small village of Rajasthan probably. Reaching Hindu College, JNU, NET JRF, gold medalist everywhere. Journals and awards, far too many to count. And I started my mentorship this year with Manu. And I was taken aback. I was surprised that is he for real? When he came along, her mother to me, I was genuinely surprised. I haven't seen a story more powerful than this. He's an IAS officer right now with All India rank 91. Imagine. Now imagine the empathy Manu would have for the people when he would sit on that chair, when he has to decide the policies, allocation of policies probably, he would think for people like him who are specially abled, and he would have a heart. This is what I want to emphasize on, and I want to make this point that more than efficient people, you need people who have a heart, who have an empathy towards people. And that is why I feel that civil services is the backbone of this country, and it would remain because people like Molaitson and Manu are there to give them hope, to feel for them. Sure, you can give me countless of arguments where civil services has failed, where bureaucracy has failed. I can give you countless of arguments where it has succeeded. Imagine Jal Jeevan Mission, have you heard of it? In 2019, only 20% had the access to taps, as basic thing as a tap. Forget tap water, tap. There is no tap. In 2025, it has gone to 80%. Who do you think is doing it? Bureaucrats. Imagine direct benefit transfer, Jan Dhan accounts, they're getting money directly. Poor people are getting directly money in their bank accounts. Who is doing it? There are so much of, this country's filled, there is so many disasters happening in this country. Millions are being evacuated. Who is doing it? The idea is that this country can't let go socialistic ideas because a lot of us are not in the same page. We are not on the same page, right? So if we don't give 80 to 100 crore people a ration, they would probably never have food. There are people who are backwards with respect to both caste and class. And if you don't give them the money, they're gone. So who is bridging the gap? The bureaucrats. And hence I feel, and I believe that this narrative is completely wrong, that we should privatize and get rid of civil services because we don't have a better alternative. And forget about alternative, we can create more systems. But who would bring the empathy? Who would bring the hope for the people? How many people from big stellar private jobs during a COVID crisis do you think would visit to a hospital, checking oxygen beds, ensuring cylinders? How many people do have this kind of empathy? Very few, right? Hence, the relevance of civil services is the first narrative I want to put across this talk. Now, people like you, who are privileged, who have finances, and everything. My dearest mentee, I have to talk about her. She's Lavanya Gaur. She was working in Google, Salesforce, earning 30 to 45 lakhs at the age of 24. Most of us would call it a settled career. Had she continued in the private sector, she would have gone to become the CEO and whatever C-suite positions you can think of. But she decided to resign and write the civil services exam. Why? Because the second argument that I want to put in here is that money, beyond a point, adds no value. It is all about living a meaningful life. No matter how many zeros you earn, but if you're not contributing, if you're not adding value to anything, these zeros don't matter. And hence you see people like Lavanya Gaur, like the 2012 IAS topper, rank 1, IIT, IIM, working in a Hong Kong bank, earning 1 crore. right? And deciding at the age of 28 to leave everything and join the civil services. He's not even earning 1/10 of what he was earning then. But the kind of work he has done in Rajasthan is beyond your imagination. So people like Lavanya, people like Aditya Mathur, again, a top corporate lawyer coming from a great NLU college. Lakhs of packages are there if you know the big firms, corporate law firms. He doesn't care because people like you, people like Lavanya, people like Aditya, people like those IAS toppers, they have to add value also, and zeros doesn't make them happy. This is the second most important narrative I want to put into. Then, again, not all of us are privileged enough to study in the Doones, DPSs, Mayos of the world. People come from humbler, simpler backgrounds. One of the stories is Ritvik Rai, coming from Ghazipur. When he came for the mentorship, he was like, "Sir, bolna hi nahi aata. English hi nahi samajh aati. Kaise bole?" Imagine the challenges. All of you can at least speak well. You don't have a problem understanding and probably speaking. This guy had. You know, not everybody can speak in English also. In India, speaking English is also a privilege. How many do you know who end their letter as "your obediently"? Who is using these words these days, obediently? You can imagine the background he's coming from. What do you write? Sincerely? Aditya wrote sincerely because he was from your background. But he's the only one who wrote obediently. Yours obediently, sir. Because he is coming from that background only. And everybody rejected him. He was a classic 120, 130 marks case. Nobody wanted to invest in him because he would not get a rank. And of course, why would anybody invest in him if he doesn't get a rank? You wouldn't believe he scored 198. This is something that even the privileged backgrounds people don't do. And I can tell you how happy I am for him because his 198 is equivalent to 225, which can be the all-time highest forever. Lavanya scored 209, Aditya scored 205, big shot lawyers, Google guys. He scored 198 without having any exposure. Because confidence. And that is the third point I want to make, and it's very important, that education system in India is changing. A classroom program, a teacher teaching 500, 700 students doesn't work anymore. It is about one-to-one personalized mentorship. That is the future. I'll tell you why. Because no teacher would teach him. If 500 students appearing for the interview sitting in a class, I would teach the basics of interview and expect everybody of them to do well. But if I sit separately with Lavanya, separately with Manu, separately with every other people, I know their personalized gaps. I'm a doctor to them, giving them prescriptions. You can't have a generalized prescription, right? This is what is changing India's education. At every level, sooner or later, you would see one-to-one mentorship, personalized mentorship, replacing the classroom teachers. Because, see, the generation you are, Gen Z, Alpha, whatever, you know Reddit, you've been to Reddit, you've been to YouTube, you know it all. You can get notes from ChatGPT. You know probably more about a topic than I would know because you have the access to the AI. Now, as a mentor, what do I offer? I would, through my soft skills, through my experience, help you find your gaps. That is what I call as fault finding. It's simple. Fault find, course correct, repeat. Fault find, course correct, repeat. This is the big thing that Indian education system would see in the future, if not now. I am convinced that classroom programs don't work. And that's a narrative I would want to put in, probably the most important, with my talk. It all started here, exactly 10 years back, in the same month. Truly an honor to come back to the same stage with my parents, lovely parents in the audience. They were there then, they're there now. So it's like a decade now, and it's nostalgic. It all started here. 11 years back, alongside 2 teachers, I call them my pookies. We started MUN, Resolution. I'm sure everybody sitting here knows what Resolution is. We had the privilege of starting it, and it has grown into a big, big legacy. It all started here. At the age of 19, I got the opportunity to go fully funded to the Harvard Business School. There I realized how education there is different, because there is no rote learning. It's all innovation. You're learning from your peers. And that stayed with me. And whatever you saw I'm doing right now has been possible because of the early leadership given to me through the school and through Harvard and through IMC and through my parents. I'm thankful to all of you, thankful to my parents for making me this capable that I could mentor probably the future bureaucrats. And the thought I would want to leave this room is that please start one-to-one mentorship, even if you're not a teacher, as a parent, as a friend, talk, fault find, course correct, repeat. There's a reason why people connect so much with aspirants, quota factory, 12th fail, the character Sandeep Bhaiya, Jitu Bhaiya. Why are they connecting with them the most? Because they are just not your teachers. They are also your friends, your bhaiyas, your didis. And even I have done so many sessions in this school. You won't believe kids open up to me differently than they open up to their teachers. Because teachers have this aura around which worked with us well, because teacher was the only source of knowledge. Doesn't work with you guys, because you are already self-aware. You have GPTs in your hand, you have Reddit, you have YouTube. I can just be a good mentor with my experience, right? So I leave this room with this thought. Please start one-to-one mentorship, even in your own lives. And whatever you become, doctors, engineers, lead a meaningful life. The amount of zeros doesn't matter. It's about what you are doing, what you're giving back. This is what makes life truly grateful. Thank you.